Good day everyone, this is Junaid Khan and I am a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. The topic I've picked today is going to be the kind of frauds going on in the market and how one should prevent themselves in regards to their applications to the embassies and for different countries, and specifically we'll talk about Canada as usual. I have been trying to make this video from quite a bit of time, but every time I think about it, things are adding to my knowledge, and it's been getting longer and longer. I will try my best to summarize this topic in a short form. Otherwise, honestly speaking, if you want me to talk about it for days, it is possible as well, because the number of clients I've been getting every day and the number of stories I've been hearing every day are humongous, and sometimes I feel very sad about it, and I am very anxious about it as well, that what kind of things going on and how it is so difficult to someone to trust someone in this industry, unfortunately, and how difficult is this for someone to basically find the right person who can basically take care of their applications and provide them the right amount of information. So I don't know where to start, honestly speaking. It's everything is just jungling up in my mind, and there's so many stories I've been hearing. So I am currently in Pakistan, and I've been here from last couple of months, and I'm running my office here, and I have a lot of clients coming in for different cases. The unfortunate situation is 95% of these clients come with the stories and come with the situation where they have themselves stuck in a situation where their application processes are stuck, where they have paid the hefty amounts to some consultants, and even though their application is still nowhere to be found and their process is not being done. So there are so many stories. I might quote some of the stories, and I might quote some of the things where when you hear them, being a client, that you need to click right at then and there that there is something wrong in the process. First of all, this is a very common practice, is that person is not being told, or a client is not being told about the process itself. I mean, it's always been told that, okay, you provide us this information and these documents and we will get your visa granted. So the first question is, like, in which category? People don't even know, and people don't even told them that what category they're applying for. This is going to be your first question, that what is the category I am looking forward to it. Is that going to be a visit application? Is that going to be a study permit application? Or if my application is getting processed through an immigration process, then which category is it? Is it the express entry? Is this the PNP? Or if it's like a PNP application for specific provinces? I mean, these sort of information one should know themselves, because if you are getting involved in this process, if you want to migrate to some other country, let's say Canada, then you should know what's going on in the market. And honestly speaking, it's very hard for me to keep track of the information in this video, because my mind is like hitting here and there and finding the information. I might go here and there in my video as well in regards to the information. So if we talk about the processes, and if you talk about the issues in the market, is I feel like I would, not 50%, but 80%, I unfortunately I want to blame a client. Because see, if you are starting this process, and if you are ready to provide the documentation, if you are ready to provide the fee, the consultancy charges, the immigration fees, then please, what you need to do is research a little bit about the process. Research a little bit about where you guys fit in according to your profile. See, you know your profile more than me, because you're the client. You know your age, you know your education, you know your working experience, you know where you find yourself in English proficiency, and these are the four factors and the major factors, you know, which are normally introduced in a immigration pathways. So when you know yourself where you are standing, that you should definitely think about it before you are entering into a process. Because if someone is giving you a misleading information, or if someone is giving you a hope that your visa will be granted, don't worry about it, and you know, we don't need a lot of information, we don't need IELTS, we don't need your education, we don't need your working experience, then just think about it. How are you yourself going to satisfy that, you know, without having any of these documentation, you will be eligible to get a work permit, or you will be eligible to get a study permit, or you will be eligible to get a permanent residency? I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. You cannot even satisfy me imagining satisfying the immigration officer. How does that work? I mean, talking about this, the recent story came into my mind. A client came in and asking to apply the work visa, the work permit for a client. And then I started taking the information. And then later on, I found out that the client he's talking about is basically a 22 years old, recently graduated from the university, and they're specifically asking for a work permit. Now, the question is, how a person is going to get a work permit from Canada, or how is it possible the employer from Canada is going to be satisfied to provide a work permit to a person sitting in Pakistan who has never worked before? I mean, this is alarming. Like, just think about it, what you're asking for. Just think about it, that, you know, how is it possible that a person who has never worked before is going to be in demand in some company in Canada? So this is absurd. I mean, this is not, and this is the everyday story. You know, people are asking for something just because, you know, you heard the word work permit, just because you know that if you have a work permit, you can go and work there and you can make some dollars, doesn't mean that you are eligible for that. So now I have refused this because, of course, that doesn't make sense to me, but you're not going to get refused by people in the market. You know, they will say yes, you know, they will say, okay, we'll work on it, we'll need X amount of money, we'll need these documents, or, you know, don't worry about the documents, we'll get it done, we have people in the market, we know the employers in Canada, we'll get it done for you. So, you know, it is very important what you're asking for, one thing. Secondly, the thing came into my mind is a lot of people came to me specifically for the visit visa application, that, you know, okay, we have nothing, you know, here's the passport, get our visit visa done. We have been told that, you know, you don't need anything, you don't have to provide anything, and we will get your visit visa done, and we need X amount of money. And now the question is, how? Like, just think about, I mean, okay, talking about this, I know people who have submitted their passport to the consultants. So their passports are with them, their original documentation are with them, and honestly, if they turn off the cell phone, they are nowhere to be found, you know. So how irresponsible is this, that you are providing your original documentation, your ID, which is supposed to be just with you, not even your family members, you are just sending everything to these people, and then complaining about that we are stuck in a process and we have lost our money. So this is a very common practice around the market. Is like, you know, you don't provide anything and we work everything out for you, and then we will get your visa done. I mean, you might see my face a little angry, because whenever I'm talking about it, whenever I'm thinking about it, that really messed my head, because this has become the everyday routine of myself. Like, every day I have clients coming in talking about this, thinking about this, and, you know, and really tense about this, because I understand this is a hard-earned money. You know, I know people, unfortunately, and this is very sad to talk about, I know people who have sold their properties, who have sold their assets, you know, just to take care of this process. But end of the day, they have nothing in hands. They have, you know, the properties are not there anymore. Plus the process is not being done. And of course, how is that going to be done? Because you haven't started the right process. So once you haven't started with the right process, definitely it's going to be stuck somewhere. So the important part here is, whenever you hear something like that we don't need any documentation and we'll get your visa done, you should know there is something wrong with this process. So how is it possible that without having any documentation and without having the right documentation, you can be granted a visa? And specifically if you're talking about Canada, because apparently it's a very hot market. Now, you should definitely ask your consultant that which visa category we are applying for. So if we are applying for, let's say, if the answer is a visit visa, how difficult is this to go on your phone, go to the website, find the required document for the visit visa for Canada? Honestly speaking, this is gonna be faster than the time I've taken to explain this. You just put on a Google, you just go to the CICC website, you just go to the Immigration Canada website, and you will file the required documents. Now think about it. If a person is not asking for the required documents, how is it possible that you will get your visa? This is not possible. And this is like the baby steps you need to take to prevent yourself with all these fraudulent activities going around surroundings. So a common practice going on in the market, which I have been hearing a lot from the last 6 months, that the visa is supposed to be done in a way that a client is not paying anything. There is nothing going from the pocket of the client, and everything will be done in a way that you should pay a hefty amount once the visa is granted. And most of the time, I know that is the visit visa application, because that requires a lot less documents in regards to any other application for Canada. Now, it is very exciting to think about it, that you're not paying anything and there is no financial burden on you until and unless you get the visa. This is amazing. But you just have to think about one thing. If you're not providing documents, you're not paying any fees, right? And your visa is granted. Even though if your visa is granted, you know that this visa is granted in a way that there are going to be a fraudulent or a tempered documents, or your whole profile is created in a way that looks very lavish in the immigration portal, and you have been granted a visa. Now, the question is, how are you going to pass the immigration at the port of entry? There has been a lot of incidents in last couple of weeks. The people who've flown from the different countries to Canada, specifically from India, that they landed in a Toronto Pearson airport, and after landing there successfully, having the right visa in their hands, the immigration officer denied entry. So why they denied entry? This is, I'm not talking about particularly that incident, but I've been seeing this, like people have been denying entry for multiple reasons. And this is one of the major reasons, because once you enter Canada, definitely you know yourself, you know what you have been doing, you know your education, you know your work experience, travel history. But definitely in your application, while applying this case, everything was different. Your education was different there, your travel history was different there, your work experiences might be tempered in a way that you have been shown like a doctor, engineer, or a business person. So when immigration officer is gonna ask you series of questions, trust me, you will not be able to answer a single question, and that is one, they will deny you the entry to Canada and they will send you back on the next flight. Now, you have paid the hefty amount. You have been told that you have to pay once you grant the visa. Now you have granted a visa, but you cannot enter Canada, and there are high chances that they will actually deport you, or they will actually ban you for the next 5 years. Now, talking about the ban, it was a couple of years ago. If I talk about multiple years ago, it was really surprising to see a person having an immigration ban from Canada, that you cannot enter or you cannot apply for the next 5 years. Normally Canada bans for the 5 years. It was alarming at this point that I have people talking to me from UAE area, from India, and from Pakistan. Specifically, I have more of the clients around these areas. The ban is so normal now. Every second person is holding a ban in hand. And why is that? because definitely once your profile is being entered into the system, the documents are fraudulent, the documents were tampered at that point, and immigration caught it. So now the system, think about it, this is the AI generation. This is, how can you imagine that the country like Canada and the sector like immigration is not using an AI tool, is not using any software to basically check your documentation? This is not simple anymore. There are so many bans around me. There are so many people came into my office to show me the ban, and we talk about what to do next. What to do next? There's nothing to be done next. You have misrepresented in your application, you have put lies in your application, you have withhold the important information and facts about yourself, and this is the consequences. And once this is the consequences, good luck getting a visa to another country. And definitely, even if you get so, it is not going to be very easy. So you need to think about how to present yourself. And let me tell you one important thing here. Let's say you get a visa in a way that you have misrepresented yourself. You get the visa, and if you're lucky enough to enter Canada as well, do you think immigration will never ever bother again to look into your file? That is the question. And the answer is they can check into your file anytime, and even after getting a permanent resident, if they found out that you have misleading information into your previous application, you were subject to deport from Canada. So this is not going to end at your first entry. This is not going to be end at the point that you enter Canada and you're happy now that we misleaded immigration, and then now we are happy that we are in Canada. Now nothing can be done. So everything can be done even at that point. Now the question raises is, I can talk about hours and hours on it, honestly, but I wanted to wrap up this video in a way that how to prevent all these fraudulent activities and how to put yourself in a way that you will grant a visa in a proper manners without misleading and without providing the falsifying information. The first and the foremost thing is, I have mentioned in one of my previous videos as well, and this is the question multiple times people ask me, then how to find the right person, how to find a person who can we trust for our applications. So if we're talking about Canada, there are RCICs, which are regulated Canadian Immigration Consultant. These are the people who are licensed by CICC, College of Immigration and Citizenship Consultants. They have done a course, they have passed the license exam, and they have to renew their licenses every year. And the body is having a strong check and balance to make sure they're not committing any fraudulent activity. So these are the people you can pick on your side. It could be anyone. You just go to the CICC website, just put the first and the last name. If you find the person there, and most importantly, if the entitled to practice section is yes, that means you can pick that person to get your file done. And on top of that, first of all, I would suggest everyone to look at your own information. Do you think yourself fit into the category? Visit visa category, study permit, immigration pathways. If you yourself know that we are not subject to fit in this sort of category, then please, you don't have to force yourself into this area. You don't have to force yourself to pay a hefty amounts, pay the fees. Just look into a category where you guys fit in. And you can always consult with an RCIC. This is one tip that you can talk to the RCICs. They will definitely find you the right pathway according to your substance, according to your profile. They will let you know that what we can do at this point, and they will definitely have the multiple pathways for you in regards to the Immigration Canada. Like I said, people mostly know about 3 or 4 categories, like you can go for a visit, study permit, immigration, express entry, PNP, and all that. But honestly, there are more than that. The immigration is very vast. Every single provinces are having their own couple of PNPs, couple of sectors where they are welcoming the labor shortages, where they are welcoming the high skilled people, where they're welcoming high educational people. So you need to fit into the right category. Before picking the right category, you need to talk to one of the RCICs, find yourself into the eligibility program, and then you can process with your application. So before you talk to anyone, think about yourself, think about your profile to prevent these fraud. I mean, it's not easy to basically paying the hefty fees, and I know you will not have a peace of mind once you start the process in a way that you are doubting itself, should we start or not. And if you don't find yourself flexible, and if you don't find yourself entering into any possible way, then you should wait and work on your own eligibility criteria, work on your own profile, make it strong, and then come back stronger. Thank you very much.